Shonen Jump crossover fighting games have been hit or miss. They started off strong with two solid platform fighters for the DS with Jump Superstars and Jump Ultimate Stars. They continued platform fighters with the mediocre game Battle Stadium Dawn before switching to 3D arena fighters with the again mediocre J-Stars, then the complete and utter failure known as Jump Force. The future of Shonen Jump crossover fighting games looks grim, but let's try and be positively optimistic and take a look at what the ideal Shonen Jump crossover fighting game would be. So, let's get started. The first thing we have to cover is the basic gameplay, as in what type of game is this going to be. Of course, it's going to be a fighting game, but there are three possible types of fighting games that we're going to focus on. The first is a platform fighter like Super Smash Bros. Or Brawlhalla, the second is 2D fighters like Street Fighter and Dragon Ball FighterZ, and the third is 3D arena fighters like Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm and Jump Force. I polled my subscribers on which of these three they would like to see, and out of 3.3 thousand voters, 2D fighters won with 66% of the vote. We're going to go with the majority here, as in 2D fighters, which I also personally would have chosen, but I will address the common counter argument against a 2D fighter. The main argument against 2D fighters is that they're too complex for a crossover game. Basically, a 2D fighter wouldn't be very beginner friendly, which isn't great when marketing a large crossover game that's supposed to reach as many different fan bases as possible, which is why a platform fighter like Smash Bros would be a good compromise, because it's beginner friendly, but also allows a good level of complexity and depth. But the public has spoken, and we're doing a 2D fighter. Now, what developer will we go with? There are a few choices. Capcom, the developers of Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom, NetherRealm with Mortal Kombat and Injustice, but the clear answer is Arc System Works. The developers behind series like Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, and most notably for our case, Dragon Ball FighterZ. Arc System Works is the perfect fit. They're well known, well liked, and have proved that they can perfectly translate anime art style into a 2D fighting game. Now for the actual gameplay itself, it would be a mix of Marvel vs. Capcom and Dragon Ball FighterZ. It would be mainly 3v3 with options for 2v2 and 1v1, meaning you choose 3 characters, 2 characters, or 1 character to fight with. To try and remedy the problem from before of a 2D fighter being too complex for new players, we'll take a page out of Street Fighter 6's book with their modern control option. Basically, you can use modern controls in Street Fighter 6 to execute specials like the Hadouken by pressing one button and holding a direction with the joystick like in Smash Bros, instead of having to memorize combos. And in order to balance this mode, moves executed using modern controls do 20% less damage. I think implementing an optional control scheme like this would be a good compromise. Players who want an enjoyable experience without having to learn complex combos, while at the same time not taking anything away from players who do want to learn complex systems. One of the largest issues with the last Shonen Jump crossover game, Jump Force, was the ugly, realistic art style. It was part of an effort to cater to the West by making the game cinematic and edgy, but in doing so, it takes away from the celebration of manga. So, to properly celebrate manga, there needs to be an art style that reflects the source material. The main source of inspiration for this game will be Dragon Ball FighterZ, but the game won't limit itself to one art style. I can't take credit for this idea because, well, I didn't come up with it. That credit would go to Wind and Fire Productions. They suggested an idea similar to the Spider-Verse films, where each character uses the art style of their original series, which would be pretty awesome and would be an actual celebration of manga. The character roster is going to be the most difficult part to plan. It's going to be hard to please everyone, but it'll at least be better than Jump Force's roster. The goal with this roster is to celebrate Shonen Jump's history, meaning rather than focusing on a lot of characters from the same popular series, we're going to go for a spread of different series from all different genres, not just battle manga, like Jump Force did. Now, we do need to be somewhat realistic when it comes to how many characters. Since we're going for a 2D fighter, the roster won't be as large as a platform fighter like Smash Ultimate. We'll go with 55 characters. Now, I know this seems like a lot of characters, but assume that this includes the base roster and any DLC that this game would hypothetically receive. Now, how did I get to 55 characters? Well, Dragon Ball FighterZ, which we've established as inspiration for this game, has 44 characters including DLC. Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle is another Arc System Works crossover 2D fighting game, and that game has 53 characters after DLC. Finally, J-Stars had 53 characters with no DLC, and Jump Force had 57 characters after DLC. So, since 3D arena fighters are easier to develop, Jump Force has more, but since Blaze Blue had 53, and Shonen Jump is a large enough franchise, we'll add 2 more characters to make it an even 55. When choosing these characters, I looked at a number of different sources. I asked my subscribers for suggestions, I looked at the character rosters for Jump Ultimate Stars, J-Stars, and Weekly Shonen Jump Jikyo Janjin Stadium. I think that's how you pronounce it. The best-selling manga of all time, and the recent Jump Festa 2024 event. The criteria was that the manga had to be published in Weekly Shonen Jump, and there was a limit of 2 characters max per series in order to get the greatest variety possible. When picking characters, I looked for a variety of genres and tried to mix older titles and newer titles. So let's run through the entire list of 55 potential characters. Now I apologize in advance if I mispronounce any of these names, because I know for certain that I'm going to mispronounce some of them, but let's just get started anyways. Goku and Vegeta from Dragon Ball, Naruto and Sasuke from Naruto, Luffy and Zoro from One Piece, Ichigo and Rukia from Bleach, Gon from Hunter x Hunter, Kenshin from Rurouni Kenshin, Dai from Dragon Quest, Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh!, Jonathan Joestar from JoJo's, Gintoki from Gintama, Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star, Seiya from Saint Seiya, Yusuke from Yu Yu Hakusho, Toriko from Toriko, Suna from Reborn, Kankichi from Kochikame, Koro Sensei from Assassination Classroom, Saiki K from Saiki K, Light and Ryuk from Death Note as one character, Arale from Dr. Slump, Tatsumi Oga from Beelzebub, Yo from Shaman King, Maisuke from Hell Teacher Nube, Madaka from Madaka Box, Momotaro from Sakigaki, Lucky Man from Lucky Man, Alan Walker from D-Gray Man, Neuro from Neuro Supernatural Detective, Chitoge from Nisekoi, Jaguar from Piu 2 Fuyuku Jaguar, Lala Satellin Deviluke from To Love Ru, Ryo Saiba from City Hunter, Hanamichi from Slam Dunk, Tsubasa from Captain Tsubasa, Kinnikuman from Kinnikuman, Cobra from Cobra, Bobobo from Bobobo, Yuma from World Trigger, Kroko from Kroko no Basket, Hinata from Haikyuu, Ryoma from Prince of Tennis, Rin from Blue Exorcist, Deku from My Hero Academia, Tanjiro from Demon Slayer, Itadori from Jujutsu Kaisen, Asta from Black Clover, Denji from Chainsaw Man, Mashle from Mashle, Boruto from Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, Yor from Spy X Family, and finally, Chihiro from Peak Kagurabachi. The only series to get 2 reps were the Big 3 and Dragon Ball, because I feel like they deserve more than 1 rep. The rest of the choices were chosen from the sources I listed before. I tried to get a rep from every series from J-Stars, as many people really liked that game's roster. The rest were mainly new gen series that weren't around for J-Stars, or older series that were forgotten or underrepresented. Of course, everyone would choose different characters. Personally, if I was completely in charge, I would have cut out a lot of these characters, but I want to try and please as many people as possible. But if I left out anyone you would have wanted to see, let me know in the comments. And before anyone comments that characters from series that aren't battle shonen like comedy or sports wouldn't work, let me just say that competent developers are able to make movesets for non-fighting characters like Phoenix Wright in Marvel vs. Capcom and Isabelle and Villager in Smash Bros. Spike Chunsoft may not be creative enough for that, but Arc System Works is. Let's talk game modes. Obviously, there's going to be the standards, versus against CPU or local players, online both unranked and ranked, which would include rollback netcode, and training. There would also be an arcade mode where each character has a unique lineup they must fight through, and there would also be a story mode. The story mode would feature a free roaming open world, reminiscent of Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 1 story mode. There won't be a character creator this time around, because it takes away from the celebrating Shonen Jump history aspect of these crossovers. Rather, the main characters of story mode would be the big 3 plus Goku. These 4 characters would be the characters available in free roaming sections. The story mode would also feature fully fledged 3D cutscenes, and let's throw in some quick time event boss fights as well, because why not? Now, what would the story actually be? I don't know. I've complained a lot about how these crossover games always have boring and lame stories, but that doesn't mean I can come up with anything better. But I'll give it my best shot. I like the idea of Light being the main villain, and his main motivator is power. So let's say that there's some powerful artifact, something that comes from the gods themselves with the power to transcend realities and absorb the powers of heroes in these new realities. Through Ryuk and his connection to the Shinigami realm, Light is able to get his hands on this artifact, then uses it to bring together heroes from various different Shonen Jump worlds. In the beginning, they view each other as threats and the heroes scuffle amongst themselves, but eventually they learn of Light's true intent and team up against him. But Light has been using the artifact to gather power from all the different realities, maybe even learning each of their power systems. So for example, he learns Ki from Dragon Ball, Chakra from Naruto, Nen from Hunter x Hunter, etc. And is going to take the combined might of all the heroes to take him down. Of course, there will be some bosses along the way, maybe a Shinigami to fight per power system that Light discovers. I'm just throwing ideas out here, but the main point is I think creating an original main villain is kinda boring, or doing a generic tournament arc is also pretty boring. Again, I'd like to hear your guys' ideas for a story mode in the comments down below. That's gonna be it for this game. It would release on PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC. Sorry Nintendo, but it would be a next-gen console game. And like always, let me know what your ideas for a Shonen Jump crossover fighting game would be in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.